All right, so call to order here for Land Acquisition Commission special meeting. It's Wednesday, June 29th, 2022, 6 p.m. We're at the Birdcraft Museum Conference Room at 314 Umpqua Road in Fairfield, Connecticut.
To the pledge.
Pledge
outside there. Pull one up on our phone.
Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll add the flag in here to the next meeting, Jim.
So, motion to hear old business. Do I have a second? Second. All right. We want to put them in? Get rid of minutes?
I didn't print them out, so they're in the email though.
The minutes for a special meeting.
Oh, can we not approve them because it doesn't sound official meeting? I don't know. Thinking about it. Why is this a special meeting? Because we didn't announce 30 days beforehand?
To hear Tim's update.
Okay.
That we didn't hear in May. Okay, so the next item is old business. To hear an update from Tim Bishop, Conservation Director, on the following properties that are of importance to the Land Acquisition Commission. Tim?
Thank you. So, roughly since last year when I started, I've been working with then Chairman Mike Widmer, eyeballing these properties. I kind of started finding on my own first, and then Mike gave me a list similar to the spreadsheet that we saw. And we started working together on that acquisition. As you know, the five that discussing are 152, 159 Beaver Street, 145 Grace, and 3726 Post Road, and 224 Riverview Circle. The updates I had as of most recently from Town Attorney Peter Ambrose from Ambrose and Straza is that we have executed deeds for 145 Grace, 159 Beaver, and 224 Riverview Circle. I also have letters from the tax collector absolving the back taxes for those three parcels. I have the executed warranty deeds here that I could submit for the record. The town is now owner of those three parcels. According to Attorney Ambrose's update, which I could read, regarding the outstanding two parcels, first being 152 Beaver Street. He said the title examination was performed for this property, and the title was found to be in the name of Frank R. Berry, who's the father of the son that we're working with. I had a conversation with the owner, Frank Berry Jr. of 14 Morningside Road in Easton, and this letter is dated May 23rd. The son informed me that his father, the title owner, died in a convalescent home in 2011. At that time, his home was addressed as 24 Flower Street in Bridgeport. Frank R. Berry Sr. Had three children who thought that the father previously turned over the property to the town of Fairfield. Three children appeared to have no interest in said property, and the estate would have to be opened in order to obtain permission for the transfer of the property to the town. One of the children would more than likely have to be named administrator of the estate and perform this task. So, Mr. Berry Jr. is still willing to donate the parcel to the town. However, it's just an administrative and paperwork delay at this point. So that's still moving forward. It's, like I said, just paperwork and possibly probate court matter. And the second parcel, 3726 Post Road, title, examination was performed on this property, and title is found to be in the name of Johnny Palmieri, Thomas Palmieri, Mary Palmieri, Adams, and Orazio Palmieri, with an undivided 1/5 interest, and Sandra Lopez, Fred H. Collis, and Lloyd Scribner, an undivided 1/5 interest. I spoke with Mr. Fred Collis, who lives in Florida. He is a partial owner of the property. He was unable to provide me with specific information regarding the other owners. He did provide me with the name of Dan Palmieri of Chicago, who is familiar with the background of the property. It appears that all the property owners have passed, on the exception of Mr. Collis in Florida. There appears to be no objection to the transfer of the property to the town. However, it is unlikely we will be able to obtain the necessary conveyances without a great amount of effort. So again, it's more of a tracking down and a paperwork issue. But he is, Mr. Collis, who I've spoken with, is willing to donate this parcel to the town. He only asked that we place a sign with the Palmieri name, which I agreed to name the trail or whatnot with that name as he wished. So that's the update on those two parcels.
I'm sorry, no question.
Sure.
Is it 3 parcels there or 2 that are, this is the Vulcan Pond?
Correct. There are 2 there. One, I had tried tracking down. I found Mr. Collis in Florida through a person tracker website, and that's how I reached out to him.
Really?
Yeah. Actually, I got to give credit to our mentor intern, Yukon grad student, who was able to track him down through that website. So there are 2 parcels there. The second is just south of that, north of the failed dam. It is 0.8 acres. Coincidentally, I had tracked down the woman in Las Vegas, mailed her a letter, went unanswered. I found a woman with the same name living in Westport, sent her a letter. She actually called town hall, said, coincidentally, I am not the correct owner, and she knows nothing about it. So I'm at a dead end there at this point, but would still like to pursue that, which is also possible. They're similar to the 3726 parcel, that property is in arrears, so we could essentially start the taking process, but I was trying to do it in a similar fashion. The one above it that I mentioned, 3726 to the north, is roughly a little over 4 acres, I think it's 4.2 acres, and adjacent to our Hulse Highway, a 5-acre parcel which is to the north, essentially doubling our open space with former Vulcan Pond frontage. So that's, just a paperwork thing, so we'll continue to pursue both.
And then what about the other one south of the dam?
There is one more smaller one just above. I think it excludes the parking lot. It's an LLC.
Okay.
I think it's related to that parcel. So because we couldn't get Post Road and Hulse Highway rights of way for access, I'm fine with at least access to Hulse Highway.
Yeah.
Because we could target our open space and use it all and never make it to Post Road.
And what is have we talked about what the expected use of this property is? Are we talking about it being a recreational opportunity, or is it just to prevent future development?
I think both, really. I would like to see the trail cut or extended from our Hulse Highway space along what's now a meadow and stream. Ideally, I've spoken with Karen Seacrest of the Tucker Fund, and asked if you has a share in there, I think, with the town of Westport. Somebody said that, which I never followed up on.
In the pond area?
Yeah, that's what I was told. But to that extent, extending just a single trail for possible bird viewing platform into the
We do
It's
the
in
member
the,
department.
it's in the March. So you do? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Peters Gate, which is off of, Boltley.
Okay.
And it connects to the pond, there's like a couple parcels in there.
Okay.
So yeah, okay.
Our current wetlands maps, that SLR just recently finalized last month, show about half of that pond based on, elevation, half, the southern half being tidal, and the northern half being inland wetlands. So there's a jurisdictional divide there. So any plans to, make an improvement such as a platform, wildlife platform, I would recommend having in the inland wetlands portion to deal with our in-house town board that was doing DEP.
Yeah. It's like driving up that trail there to get down there, I haven't been on.
Yeah, and then the way that, where the pond, the extent of the former pond was, the elevation of the wooded area running parallel is high enough where we wouldn't be inundated or anything like that. So, cool. And it's a great parcel for both those regions. We just gotta, everyone, he's willing to donate it, we're willing to take it and do something with it. It's just a paperwork thing.
That's great that you're able to get help, what we call them. So when you see names in the property card, it doesn't necessarily mean that anybody's connected to those names.
Exactly. I mean, out of 5 people, 4 of them are dead.
Right.
Or,
Interesting.
That's why you have your winter interns to figure it all out.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of the Tucker Fund, I totally don't mean to go off topic here, but you mentioned Tucker Fund, and they're the ones that are funding the wildlife platform on Oakfield.
Correct.
And what's the status of that?
I was at the contractor's yard Monday morning in Trumbull. They've almost fully constructed the
Oh, wow.
platform.
On site?
No, I'm sorry, at their yard.
Okay.
They're assembling, I don't know if anyone.
Do you guys know what property we're talking about, the one on Oakfield next to the bridge?
Yeah, where they were.
It's like a flag lot.
Yeah.
Right at the bridge, to the north, we call Oakfield North. 2 weeks ago, Eagle Scout Canada put in the osprey platform. And mid-July, we're contractor is gonna assemble and construct the bird observation blind looking out through the marsh. With Karen and the Tucker Fund's help, we've already installed a split rail fence to separate that access, installed native, eastern red cedar and American holly as a screen, so we got the platform and now the sign will fall off to kind of mark. No one knows about it, so, which is a good thing so far, but once we'll put the sign in designating it as open space. But that should happen mid-July.
Is there anything with these properties that commission members can do to assist with the process? Move anything forward?
I think for Post Road and 152 Beaver, it's really in the attorney's hands with deeds and paperwork. Tax collector Dave's been awesome, helping us provide the donators with the proper paperwork. And Attorney Baldwin and Attorney Ambrose have been great keeping this moving. So I think it's really in their hands at this point.
Great.
Is Peter Ambrose new as the town attorney?
He's not. He's Baldwin, Attorney Baldwin, his firm kind of.
Oh, they're just working together.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't want to say subcontract, but
Okay.
steers work that way.
Okay. If he does
Herbst
work
and
good.
Weaver do some, Peter and his team does some, whatever
Okay.
Baldwin and Kathy can, or redirect, I guess, should be the word. So yeah, those are the 5 right now. I've highlighted 3 more that I would like to bring up tonight, but I'll wait till that point.
All right. items. Motion to move forward to discussion of, well, we have 200 Perry Street listed as the property to discuss, but we really want to talk about 200 Pansy Road. So, for the record, that's the property that we're here to talk about. It's a 9-acre property off of Pansy Road, 220 Pansy Road. Most of it is wetlands. Tim's been in contact with the prospective buyer who's interested in hearing from us, an opportunity that we could all work on to have some sort of agreement with them so we could put this parcel on the books somehow. A lot of it is undeveloped. There isn't any real chance that you could develop it, given all these wetlands. And if you look at the map here, the inland wetlands map here, you'll see that there's a bunch of parcels to the south that could be on our radar moving forward. So it could add up to possibly 20 acres if we were to maybe get all of these someday. So, pass that around. Definitely a nice find, a nice opportunity. I guess the question is, what can we do here to move this along? Is there a chance that the sale is going to go through soon?
Last I knew it was listed at, I think, 990, and I heard in an email that it had dropped to 8, in the 8s, possibly. The two prospective buyers approached me at Town Hall one day and announced and said, can we sit down? And so we sat down and talked. Did kind of a concept review. In theory, they were really, their intent, I believe, was really trying to do their homework. What can be done? What's there? What do they need to do? They're open to some type of community spin on property ownership. They expressed, for gardens, some version of agriculture. Sounded like the existing animals would not be in that equation, neither would the barn. It sounded only like, crops in the form of farming, and not animals.
Well, they would build where the barn is now, right? That's not wetland.
That is.
Okay.
Yeah, the wetland line from the most recent version was a 2018 delineation. I suggested they get a newer one. The 2018 was about, 10 years newer from another one, the current one Mr. Panagudi had. So the evolution of hydric soils has increased on the parcel, moving closer towards Pansy Road. And with 2018 being, 5+ years old at this point, I would want to see new wetlands mapping from soil scientists from a wetlands perspective in my department. Their intent would be to rip down the existing house where he lives now, push that back farther off the road. The agriculture would occur where it does now and where the barn is now in the animal pen. I asked how they would feel, and I think a lawyer question, but how would the town have right to use your private property? And when you have kids and stuff, and you have people coming to pick carrots, you're going to be okay with that, because if that's the spin you're going to put on it, you're going to have to be, you're on the hook for it. You can't change your mind in 3 years and say, no, go away, this is private. So they're trying to figure it out. They were asking about the DEP's open space grant to help purchase the 760 Oldfield parcel, and I think they understand that it's those are only awarded to municipalities. So I don't know if they're interested in carving out you know, 9.5 of it, 8.5 of the
Yeah.
acres that we could use, and maybe, you know, you apply a grant to that somehow, or,
How can we keep momentum going in that direction?
conversation,
Like,
I-
should we as a board write them, like a nice little, we love you so much?
yeah, I could, I think they're so early in the stages.
Right.
Okay. Oh, I guess we wait for a sale.
So do they want,
Yeah,
they want
they
us
don't-
to purchase it and they won't donate it?
They're trying to feel us out.
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, even if you did like a lot line revision or carved their
Yeah.
developable piece out from this, I mean, I think there's still 6 figures, you know,
Just for the
Yeah.
big 6 figures, yeah.
Yeah, even
So-
if you can't build on them.
I don't know how realistic, I haven't seen any appraisals of, you know.
Can you subdivide it and put 2 houses right there?
I don't think there's room for 2 houses, based on the wetlands lines that I've seen from 18.
Yeah.
It's so tight, so the only option to kind of carve that out and get around the wetlands would be a declaratory ruling for agriculture.
Yeah.
So that would help, whether they could push, demo the existing house and push the new one and construct it further back is a question that I said we would need to see the new wetland mapping
Yeah.
first, to even discuss that. And if you can't, then you know that you can't put the house there, and would you still buy the property?
Yeah.
But
Great.
You could rip down the existing house and build it there again.
Yeah, but you probably have builders trying to subdivide this and get 2 lots.
They have, yeah.
but most of the value, it's the area that they're building.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So funny listing write-up, I don't know if you saw what she wrote. She wrote, perfect for raising your own crops and livestock in this unfortunate times of uncertainty.
That's funny.
The world's coming to an end?
Doomsday.
It's kind of funny.
Same reason my friend got chickens during the pandemic, okay?
Yeah. Well, let's keep this on our list and revisit and watch it as it, welcome, as it, and then potentially, I feel like if something does happen, we as a board can maybe put together a recommendation. We'll see what happens then.
I did return a call her yesterday in hopes that we would have a discussion before tonight, but she hasn't returned the call yet.
Okay.
Nice, like, young couple ready to start a family. I think they came from California.
The sellers.
The buyers,
Oh.
prospective buyers,
Oh,
yeah.
Why hasn't it sold in the top market?
I think it's too much for what needs to happen there. Like, it's a very old house that you have to tear down, and then the wetlands, I think, would be very, from a developer point of view, they're kind of like, don't want to deal with that.
So, I mean, it's a lot of money for
taxes are super
a
cheap.
small developable piece.
I guess so.
Yeah. If that wetlands line, I think, was further back, and you could put up either townhouses or, a McMansion or something,
Even if it were all
people
developable,
would be all over it, but.
Yeah,
then it would fall on again.
It's basically the entire woods is undevelopable.
yeah.
I mean, most of even the existing lawn there now, where the animal pens are and some of the vegetable raised beds, all that's wetlands.
Okay.
So you can still have use it for farmland,
You could,
because you can't put,
a declaratory ruling, by the Conservation Commission is a, where, it's an as-of-right activity, in the state, so.
but
Yeah, agriculture is allowed.
presumably that's not, like, super economic for them to do.
We issued one, last fall for, a property, north end of town that was expanding farming operations at their house as a business. So, I think it's possible with the right people. Yeah.
Okay, so let's make a motion to keep this on the radar. Yes?
Second that. Motion to move on to number 5, member updates on some of the tasks we were given in the May meeting. First up is Nicholas, Aquarian Water Company opportunities. Have you heard anything?
I reached out to him, we looked up his name, I didn't hear back, but I'll send him some emails. Where, his name is George Logan. I don't have an email from him, for him, I did give him a ring, but didn't hear back. I'll leave him another message in Google and see if I can get a email for him. He spoke at the Board of Selectmen meeting back in April, and I just happened to pick up his name, thinking maybe he'd be, someone good to get in touch with. So I just grabbed his name and his phone number, in the Board of Selectmen meeting. And then I think it was like a week or two later when I was at this meeting, we mentioned maybe we should reach out to him, so it was actually great that I grabbed it. So I'll put more effort into reaching him. I'll do what we said, which was, they would just want to open the door and let you know who we are and what we're tasked with and see if there's an opportunity with the land that they have. And then I did reach out to Pam Iacano, who is, I believe, the RTM lead currently for the town of Fairfield, represented the town meeting. She's also the chair for the charter revisions, and spoke to her about our concerns with, where is this committee going, how valuable do they think it is there a chance for them to dismiss us, or anything along those lines. And she said, it didn't come up, nobody mentioned any positives or negatives, and likely would be no change in the new charter. But certainly if we have any questions, or if we want to make any changes, that this is the time to speak up.
Can I suggest emailing him with his first initial and last name at aquariumwater.com?
Yeah.
And then he's corresponding with their capital projects engineer. I'm just looking at his email format.
Yeah, I'll do G. Logan.
Yeah. At Aquarium Water.
The nomenclature's all the same, most likely. All right.
It's worth a shot.
Yeah, very good, thank you.
I don't know if this is realistic, but can we somehow tie ourselves to some sort of funding in town? Like, I don't think RTM has any funding, but that would be my only suggested change, is if somehow we can be under some sort of umbrella budgetary, but.
We do have a budget, don't we? That we really.
Like, who knows what it is? Or who, do you have access to
Can we
it?
find out what that is?
No, what is it, the Smith Richardson Fund, something like that?
Is that under conservation?
We have funding sources, yeah. It won't be in the budget, but there are those funds that, there's about, $450,000 in Smith Richardson's fund. And then there's other smaller pots we have that are 5 figures, all with their stipulation for use.
I mean, it's also that I'm new here, so I've never really seen a property get purchased yet. So that process would usually mean that some grant from conservation, I guess, would say, okay, this is how we're gonna do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
The state purchased, there's a property up by the Merritt that was adjoining the highway. Remember that parcel? They got a grant for that.
Was it open space?
Yeah.
Watershed plan?
Right.
yeah. So they'll purchase okay.
It was, okay, well, sure. The town law applied to that.
Yeah.
And
They have to, and that gets back to the Canby Road, their suggestion in the email was, hey, can we use this grant? I don't know how.
Well,
Unless they carved it out.
Flip the card.
It's, I don't think it has to be really, I think really high profile and valuable to generate. We're not gonna get 600 grand from the state to buy 9 acres of swamp.
there is the Audubon in lieu of funds grant. Are you familiar with that one?
I've heard of it, yeah.
That they prioritize the properties that have wetlands, like this one does. I just don't know if these wetlands are as valuable as other projects they've been funded. Also, I just happen to know that this year, the amount of money that the Southwestern District has to allot for grants is like $9 grand, as opposed to previous years, it's been hundreds of thousands of dollars. And there's no money in that fund for this year, but it's possible next year it could be an opportunity. And I just thought like for the wetland network that's there, that's probably described as some value. So essentially what Audubon does is that they provide, they give you money and then you have to, you basically sign an easement. They get an easement to the property and there's certain checks that you have to do, monitor that, keep track of it and make sure it's still being, not being, trampled on or encroached, or the standard preservation things that you have to deal with. I don't know if this would be a candidate or not, because it's sort of so urban,
Definitely has value, but it's a matter of like, is it gonna stand out over other project applications,
Right. And it's sort of also self-preserving. Like there's not much you can do with it, and the damage is done around it with the constant, and the urban jungle that surrounds it, so.
The plaza right behind it.
Yeah.
Is there a way to even walk through it, or is it just so thick with vegetation and basically it's a swamp? So, could you put in a trail network?
I don't think so. I mean, from what I've seen, and I've only been in the backyard of the farm. It looked pretty wet just standing there, looking north. But yeah, I've never tried.
There's a stream that runs through the part of that property.
There is, it goes under Pansy Road.
Right.
Right behind the barn.
Okay. And then it goes into the wetland, and then it goes into it or out of it?
It flows out of it.
Okay.
It flows south.
It flows out.
So it goes through Mike Whitmer's backyard.
Right.
Yeah.
We've got gardens in this.
Yeah, that's very cool.
But the stream starts on the other side of all the development, right?
North of the barn.
So is there an underground stream there, or a culvert?
There's a culvert
Okay.
under Pansy Road.
The whole river just flows off?
I don't know where.
No, underneath, Black Rock. Because I think,
I'd have to talk to engineering and get some mapping.
yeah, I'm curious, it doesn't really have any bearing on whether or not we buy it, but when I look at my, I have a GIS here, and then here's the property, and you can see the stream going into it here, and then I can see it pick up over here and go through all of this. I'm like, how is there, what's going on?
There's a lot of culverts and stuff from Black Rock, or under Black Rock, like, even the one by recently, Burroughs Road, at that intersection, leaves our open space, goes under, culverted, and goes under, what is there, a diner or something across the street, goes
Is that
around.
over a man-made area for water?
Oh. Yeah, it could be like a box culvert, like a concrete pipe,
Oh, okay.
tunnel,
Yeah.
type of thing.
It's just like the kind of thing where you would never, I get the feeling you would never be able to build this sort of, industry over an existing waterway nowadays.
Yeah, probably. Would have had to have, started from scratch, back in the day, before it was Black Rock Turnpike was so built up.
Right. Sorry.
Yeah, they were piping water courses all over this town.
So maybe the price will drop, and, can be more on our radar.
So I guess, I could send out an update when I get a response or have a discussion with them if they're still prospective buyers.
What they said they want to do with it, property?
They'd like to purchase it and have, tear down the existing home, build a single-family home further away from the road towards the north, and have some type of, agriculture component, with a private, public spin, for veggies and stuff like that, get rid of the barn and the animals. Which, like I said, my only concern would be how does that agreement get written? That you're gonna have the public on
They'll probably want to do that to get some
private
property tax abatement, so you know, so it's not that high for the size property, but they'll want that. So that they don't pay property tax.
Yeah, the tax for only $7,000.
I'm
Pretty low.
Pretty low, yeah.
The land's not working anymore, right?
So they want to keep that.
In my discussions with the tax collector, and the tax assessor, was related to farm intentions, related to taxes, where you really need to prove that this is going to generate revenue, and you're actually operating the farm as a business, to be able to get, the pay nothing taxes on your name.
Right.
So he wants to see a business and financials and revenue. This isn't just, I sell 3 tomatoes a year and I don't pay taxes.
Right.
To be continued, I guess.
Good.
Okay, so for our I wrote up a little paragraph, to include in a first welcome newsletter. I've already thought David could read it, and if you guys like it, I'll go ahead and send it over.
Did you ask them to do this?
Yeah, she was really excited.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Right, it says, are you interested in supporting the town of Fairfield's open space initiative? One of the major goals of Fairfield's Land Acquisition Commission is to preserve 70 acres of open space for each 1,000 inhabitants of the town. Citizens have the opportunity to support this mission by donating land parcels of any size to the town of Fairfield. The town has a long and distinguished history of acquiring special natural areas using town funds, state and federal grants, and private donations. The lands that are acquired have vital natural resources and environmental value. To start the process, please contact the Conservation Department. Which, is that true, that they should contact Conservation first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I'd be
Um,
happy if our phones would blow.
yeah, I mean, I don't really expect much to happen, but I thought, just to like kind of, put that in there, it's like, don't forget about us.
Yeah, the minimum 50 yards.
And that's great. I mean, without getting into too much detail about how we, what our preferences are and whatnot,
Yeah.
gets the word out.
How about a picture, some woods or some wetlands?
Yeah,
right next to the
totally.
paragraph?
I'll add that.
Let me ask you a question. So, I'm reading this and I'm thinking to myself, what's in it for me, which is what everybody's thinking.
I was thinking about that in writing it, but I didn't want to influence, I think we have to be careful with that.
Well, but then you also,
You get a tax deduction.
you would if you donate it, right?
But I think other town bodies might be
Question on
like,
big property tax.
But you do say that we have a distinguished history of acquiring special natural areas using town funds,
Yeah.
grants, and donations, implying that we would be buying their property with
Right.
those things.
mhm,
So we're already throwing one vehicle for acquiring the land, but we're not, I know we don't want to get into the weeds. I agree, we shouldn't get into the weeds, but if we already are insinuating that we're going to
do you
pay.
have something, a little sentence off the top of your head to
So,
suggest the tax rate?
I don't know, I think maybe something more general,
Yeah, so take that one out.
maybe take that sentence out.
Okay.
I was just taking the sentence out,
Okay.
because basically you said you want to donate it, and you're saying, hey, we buy it.
Right.
Oh, I was about to donate
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
talk about this sentence.
Right. You were getting
You could say instead of land acquired, the land donated have vital natural resources. And then it strictly keeps them, as you said, focused on donation and the indirect obvious is we donate it to tax deduction plus no property tax.
Okay.
So citizens have the opportunity to support this mission, you can instead and receive a tax deduction
Is that good?
by donating land parcel.
Okay.
Yeah, you like that sentence? Throwing that,
Yeah.
adding that sentence and taking out the part about buying it? Maybe?
Yes, I agree, because we're kind of like, hey, donate your land.
Yeah.
But we have a history of buying it.
That's a great, that's,
Goes up
that
there.
part's close to the value.
Right.
And if they engage us, I think that, yeah, we could go that route, but we should at least default to the donation, yeah.
But I do think people worry about donating, because then they think the town 20 years from now can use it to
That's
their
another good point.
advantage. So if there's a way to say that it would be protected and conservation.
Protected,
Deed
yeah.
You know,
restricted or-
deed restricted something, because I know that everyone's like, I'm not giving my land to the town, because,
Right.
you know, they could turn around.
So the second to last sentence.
Yeah,
It says the lands that are acquired have vital natural resources and environmental value
Mm-hmm.
and
Then you would say
and
that.
can be
It
protected and
will be
Protected.
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 Yes,
It will be protected, yeah, right at the end of that second to last sentence. it's
because
good.
I think that's a lot of people's concern.
Okay.
I also like what said before, that the town has a long distinguished history of acquiring special natural areas.
Leave it at that.
History of acquiring and deed restricting or something.
Okay.
You could do use that.
We can always change it moving forward, we like get this in now, and
Yeah.
a couple months later, we revise it a little.
But then sometimes I think the town doesn't want to just take on the land, because it
Absolutely.
reduces their tax base.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
with
There's
eligible.
got to be
Yeah.
a benefit.
That's why I
to the
didn't
town.
want to put that out there,
Right.
because other town bodies are like, wait.
Yeah.
No, put it out, and still, we can always turn them down.
Well, like the house that has, the group home, on Congress Street, the reason that never sold for so long is it's got like 13 acres back there that's deeded, protected, it can't be
Yeah, there's an
developed.
easement there.
Yeah, but the town, I think people tried to give it to the town back then, because that's the only reason nobody wanted to pay the taxes on all that land. And I don't think the town wanted it.
That's a shame, that's a nice, I've been to that parcel.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you know where the group home is on Congress Street, or I don't even think they're in there yet.
No.
There's like 13 acres back there, but the prior owner, I guess, 50 years ago, deeded that could never be developed.
But David,
But it's still,
No, it's all part of the parcel.
it's still taxed at a high rate.
Yeah, I think so. And, so they wanted to get rid of it and give it to the town way back when, the town's like, no.
Yeah, it's only an easement, so it's, basically can't touch it.
Yeah, so they're like,
And it
okay,
goes right
you keep
to
paying the
the
taxes
lawn
on
and
it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I've been approached probably twice since I've been here, with parcel donation offers, and, once you start digging in, oh, thanks, great, let me look at it, look at the map, and the last one was, completely landlocked with streets and houses on all four sides, had no wetlands, it was around .09 acre, something totally useless, but no access, you couldn't get in.
Yeah.
It's just how everything
Yeah,
fell apart. And that's something like, what value would that give to us as the town residents if we couldn't use it, it was so small and had no value,
Yeah, now we have to
value.
maintain it and insure it.
Yeah, exactly, so,
Turn it down.
that's an easy turn down.
And then what, the people own it, but they can't use it either, somehow they have
Yeah.
possession of it, that
Yeah.
sold off lots,
From way back when, and,
locked themselves out.
yep,
But we've also had the reverse, where we have land that isn't of benefit to us, and do we want to sell it? Because, I don't know, there was a little tiny lot down on Fairfield Beach Road that we had no use for, but everybody else wanted it for parking. And it's like, you could rent those spots for like $500 a month to the students. So we ended up selling it, and it got into a bidding war when it got out. And one of the neighbors realized the town owned it, so that he quietly came and approached the town, and we were like, sure, we don't need it. But then it got out in the paper.
No, you
and
have to do that, yeah.
Yeah, and then everybody, and he lost it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right? The guy who wanted it didn't get it.
In the third line at the end, I would take out of any.
So was that on Beach Road?
Yeah, River
Yeah.
Beach Road, yeah, it's just like a tiny little lot on the canal side or on the back side of the water.
So we don't end up with the .02 acres.
Yeah, whoever lives right there probably wants it.
They want to build one, right?
So take out of any kind?
Yeah.
Okay.
In terms of what you guys are talking about, why don't we just say citizens have the opportunity to support this mission by donating, donating land of environmental value or something to that effect, so that people just don't randomly call and say, these little lots we want to get rid of. You already say that. You're saying that we look at land that require to have vital natural resources and environment.
Yeah, leave it at that, because I'd rather more people call the left. We can always turn it down.
Fine.
Okay, cool. I love it.
Working paragraph,
Yeah.
get it right.
Yep. Okay, great. I'll come, now, should I come back to next meeting with these revisions and then we'll approve it and then send it, or are you anxious to get it out
Send it
sooner?
away.
Okay.
But what?
So I'll make the improvements, I'll email you guys,
Yeah,
and then we'll
okay.
just move forward, okay?
The one thing I'll say though about her update is that, I don't know if you guys saw the last one, it's like, my daughter was like, Dad, let's go do this, I'm like, hold on, we just read this one email, she's like, I'm like, read it, like, she's like, is it over yet? It's like a super long email, it was good stuff and all of it.
Yeah.
So ours is like, throw it at the end, we may not get that.
Well, I
much
feel like
credit.
end of summer might be a little quieter, we'll see.
And that's where the photo, I think, too, would help.
Yeah, photos.
That's usually you do, just grab the box and slide it and scan, you know?
Yeah.
Not
Or
like
you know what-
pictures catch me up, oh, that's what I want to read.
Well, we should do our photo, is we should do a photo of like the Ryan Tucker, observatory and one of the pieces of land that we acquired, you know, something of like, hey, it's, and there's like a caption on there that says, you know, this land was acquired, whatever year, and, you know, so we can
Perfect.
have a little more.
Okay, so, what is it technically called?
Instead of just a pretty picture, what's that?
It's the Ryan Tucker Observatory.
Oh, no, I don't know what the name is.
We call it, Oakfield Road.
Marsh.
Old
Yeah.
York.
But it's 760 Oakfield Road, but
And will I be able to find information online about the story behind that?
No.
not yet.
I'll talk to you then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can take a picture of the property or one of the can too, before the blind bill. What was the time on that?
Mid-July should be
So,
around.
so by the time we can do it for our second release, whatever.
Yeah.
She sends them out all the time.
Okay. Perfect.
I think that's a good idea. I'm glad to do that.
So, next is my update on, I reached out to Park and Rec, and on their website, there's no, link to the open space map. And they were pretty receptive to, having a hyperlink to the actual open space map we have. Pretty easy fix. I'm gonna go ahead and tell them to do that unless anyone thinks that there's any reason that we should go another route as far as, getting that on their website. If you look at their website now, it's nothing really about passive recreation, it's all active recreation, so. This will be, one way to start to get in. We could probably do more with Park and Rec as far as, promoting trails and us as a commission. But for now, this is the easy step. I think, if everybody agrees, just tell them to move forward and add that to get the link accessible to the open space map.
It's just it's an existing map that we're gonna.
It's not fancy.
What is don't we have a town grant writer? Are they busy?
Or, I don't know.
I feel like that would be a good opportunity for a grant. You could get an interactive map, something, a little more snazzy.
Metro Cod did that.
Yeah,
It doesn't have all the trails,
right, they have,
but yeah, and we do have, and then we have about 15,000 in a trail map pot.
okay. Is that grant control? I mean,
That could be,
I love how
Use
Africa
some-
does it.
that's what I'm talking
It's
about.
so amazing.
Yeah, that was through a Yale intern. That was why I thought, yeah.
Can we connect to that person, or?
I mean, I think they may be paid, I can find out, but,
But if we can get.
yeah, I need to update that. So, yeah, I love that idea, because then it's interactive, and engages the person, it's not just a blanket map, and you can click on the property, and it'll give you information about it, and, a little more snappy. All right, that's my little
Okay.
piece of it.
well, then since I'm in multiple layers, wear different hats, I guess I would only caution this commission not stepping on the toes of the Conservation Commission, who, and Parks and Rec. That's all. The Conservation Commission controls town open space, not us or Parks and Rec. Just to throw that out there.
We'll take it.
Well, and maybe it could be a joint effort.
Yeah.
That's what I think it should be, a joint effort, because it would benefit everybody,
Yeah.
I think. Okay.
Rob, you want to talk to some of the Park and Rec about?
Yeah, I mean,
Or
I'm,
that map?
you know, I guess I'll proceed slowly with this. They're interested in helping out, basically doing it right and not stepping on anyone's toes here. But
Or maybe there's no
there is like a Google map that you can zoom in on the open space, but it's on their website. But I don't know if it's the same as this old-fashioned map.
Also,
Oh,
all the towns.
you said something about this too, sorry, down there.
Yeah, no, and the town's retained a consultant that's gonna spend quite a bit of money on standardizing all the entire town website.
Oh, good.
So,
Well, to my point about the aspect of what's so great about it is that it says the trail, and I guess in our case it'd be the open space, and it has a little bit of history behind it, and it gives me an idea with my kids, like, oh, is this gonna be a long hike or a short hike? And I feel like that would be useful in Parks and Rec, it's like, I need some outdoor time with the kids, all right, let me see what Parks and Rec has. And then they could link to the different open spaces, and for example, this bird thing would be amazing that families don't know about. Like, there should be a connection where they go onto Parks and Rec and see, like, they can do bird observation.
my guess is that they don't because they know that's conservation's turf.
Now, does conservation not want people accessing it? Is want it to be quiet?
That's a good question. I think I've heard grumblings about when Lake Mohegan got in some tourist book about being the coolest place on the East Coast for dogs, and, you know, and then all of a sudden, this was before my time, but
Yeah.
that quadrupled the amount of foot traffic and dog traffic that became a problem in town, you know, with dog poop and, you
My
know,
brother's dog.
dogs running in, right? I mean, I heard it was like a hot topic in town, like,
Yeah.
a few years ago. But anyway, I don't know, I think that, I'm only speculating, but I think that's why Parks and Rec doesn't promote or advertise conservation stuff,
Okay.
just a guess. I guess I'll be Anthony about it.
My phone died, but I know when I was in Vermont, I was looking for trails, and there's an app, there was like a national
All trails,
app. Yeah, like there's apps out there, I don't know if it covers Fairfield, but,
Interesting.
yeah. I don't know.
I mean, it could be way better, you know, even from conservation side with, you know, Lake Mohegan has an Eagle Scout project where they have mile markers that are, you know, geolocated. And, you know, if you were hurt, you could say I'm at mile marker 47 and the fire department would, you know where exactly where you were. So I think between that and like what Metro Cobb did with their interactive map, only some of our spaces, because a lot of our space doesn't have trails.
Right.
So, you know, if you go on their website and it only shows 8 places and you zoom into Mohegan and it shows the yellow, blue, red, and orange trail, you know, that doesn't mean the other 40 spaces nearby, they don't have trails.
My experience is like if I'm driving around town and I see a little cool open space, basically, I'm like, oh, what is that? You know, and sometimes it isn't labeled, and it would be cool if I can go on and find out what it is it accessible, that's what it is.
You should look at my phone died, but when you leave, look at just put in like hiking app and see if it picks it up.
And all of this, I mean, to maybe connect the two would be at a conservation commission meeting in the future, hey, the land acquisition commission is looking to, you know, start the conversation about better maps or whatever, some type of app or interactive map or something like that. Hey, this is what Aspetuck does, this is what Vermont app does or whatever, and say, could we work on this together? That might be another option or approach.
People are fascinated with the history of the area, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I kind of just totally would like to see 2 sentences about why this exists and, you know, the history of it, for sure.
It's already there too, I mean, again, you don't want to step on Park, but the yellow, I'm sure you've seen it, the yellow open Facebook, you know, you can scan the page and have a link to that. It's pretty easy to add a lot of history, or not, you know, recreate the wheels already all written out. wouldn't take very much.
Is this book still for sale? For sale book?
I think so, somewhere.
Yeah, it's a thing I.
Probably a box.
Yeah, I'm right.
It could be in the basement.
The one I have is old, I mean, I don't know if it's been redone in a long
No,
time.
I haven't seen it in a decade or 15 years old.
Yeah,
Still perfect.
yeah, it's still the same, but I'm sure there's more, but, yeah, it's important. It has maps, full trail.
Okay.
Keep working on that. Adam, your turn.
Okay, tax lien and blight list. I haven't done anything on this. Do you think that's worth a worthy course of action? Do you think that you've learned some information about going there?
With respect to tax liens and blight?
Yeah, like see if I can get a list and start, perusing the properties that are, yeah.
Yeah, so, somewhat related was, I think I mentioned this, somebody had circulated this Excel sheet.
Yeah, the Whitmer open space one?
Yeah, this one was left over from Mike, I think it was either 2018.
Yeah, November 2018, when he sort of sent to the commission.
Yeah, and I had started those other 3 parcels, or 5 parcels before he had given me it. I sat down and I'm like, hey, Mike, I'm looking at it. He's like, oh, we have a list like that already. I'm like, oh, can't be. And those were on there, but,
Was the blight and there, no, that was one.
I didn't see any blight. These were, 15-year-old, properties in arrears.
Oh.
Back then.
Okay.
And that's where the genesis of pursuing these were. So there must be, working with David, the collector, I think it's a great starting point, because then we're already, if this list was updated, we could do what I did before. Say, hey, is this property, okay, they're in arrears already, let's look at where it is it adjacent to anything else where we want it, blah, blah, blah. And then that's like our, jumping off point for the, hey, you want to donate this?
Right.
Is everyone dead? We don't know.
So at the time, that list in 2018 was all the properties that have passed due to property taxes for 15 consecutive years?
Yeah, that were worth looking at, not all the ones in town.
But they haven't paid in 15 years, or they haven't paid?
They haven't paid in 15 years and would be of value to this commission.
Now, how do they go 15 years without the town pursuing any type of legal action?
I think there's just enough of them that, I don't know, to collect, I don't know.
Legal.
They scare them off, maybe they just give them a little bit, just to keep them that bad in town a little bit here, a little bit.
I've seen the tax bills for these 5, and the bill just keeps going, and maybe it goes to
Litigation.
nowhere address. Sometimes they stop, and they only stop looking for after 15 years. Like, if somebody owes for 30, they only, haven't paid in 30, they only look at 15 by statute.
But aren't they supposed to go to auction?
Yeah, what's the?
The tax liens, they're supposed to auction them off, right? And somebody else
If
can
we
buy them.
want one, that's our way of taking it, is an auction, which no one's gonna want a wetland property for the same.
So they only auction off the good
It
stuff?
sounds like the option of doing that, but doesn't have to.
Right,
And they should be.
Why not
I mean,
just auction them all off?
it's not good PR. The town basically backs away from anything negative like that, and I agree with you, it really should, it's been
Yeah.
15 years. But there's all kinds of sympathies and empathies and bad PR if they auction off the property out from under somebody.
Yeah, but if
Now,
you're.
Right, exactly.
But in these cases, that's.
Just do a living, these aren't abandoned.
But the last 2 are basically owned by people who died. One. The 2 you
Yeah,
said last
the
year.
152, 159 Beaver, the woman, the original owner, Borlo, is still alive. Her daughter's handling the estate, but everyone, and the other parcels besides Grace, because that was part of a deal with, the development for the multifamily. Everyone else is dead.
And one of them was part of an estate where the beneficiaries didn't even know that it was owned.
Yeah.
And so the estate has to be reopened. The town's taking too long. I mean, it's 15 or 30 years.
To our benefit, I guess. But when I first called these
Something like
people,
that would be easier, obviously, to take care of. I mean, you're putting a big legal cost on the heirs, and that's,
Yeah.
so they have to get a lawyer and reopen the estate.
I mean, it's
Get
just,
the courts involved.
and just the 3726 Post Road alone, they used this parcel for like, hey, guess what, you still own this, oh, by the way, you owe $47,000. No one's,
Can anybody
Okay,
ever
great,
walk in
yeah.
and say to the town, I'm gonna pay you $5 million for all these tax liens? Or does it have to go to auction? Like if somebody was like, I'm gonna take this all off your hands.
I think they're
Formal
obligated,
process.
yeah.
I actually went to one in Norwalk maybe
Yeah.
5, 6 years ago. It was really interesting. I mean, there's a lot of people that came in from out of town. It was an auction.
Yeah, or you just bundle that, bundle it at the end of the year.
Yeah, no,
This is
I
tax-
think we already
this is tax-
covered, you don't want somebody to be developed.
Norwalk tax lien sale, yeah.
Well, they're all over the place.
That's what the collector described, he said, how do we take this? He said, we'd have to put it up for tax sale.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah.
He said if it was out there and no one bid on it, like, let's say Tammy, I mean,
Yeah.
you're gonna be able to develop it with nothing. So no one's gonna bid on it, and then we just take it, and they're like, oh, no bidders, now it's down, so we take the title, and that's it.
Yeah,
This is a lot easier, discussing with Attorney Baldwin and David, the collector, was, hey, we wanna donate it, that way you don't have the neighbors saying, oh, I want that, or whatever, they're like, no, it's not up for discussion, they wanna donate it to the town, and it's over.
yeah.
That's the smoothest,
So they're donating to the town, and the town is
absolves the tax,
waiving
the back tax.
the back tax.
If you buy the auction, you gotta pay the back tax.
But
You don't buy it
I
at
mean, they're-
auction, you buy the tax lien.
Yeah.
Say they owe 50 grand in taxes, you're buying that 50 grand, so the town gets paid. They
Yeah.
get.
They get
So
50
there.
cents on the dollar, and then you have to go after them.
And then what's interesting is that you pay your 50, for example, for, a property of 50K back taxes, and you get 18% a year on that money. It's like a statute, that's what the APR is, so it's pretty lucrative if you're an investor and taxing a property too. You're making 18%, and if that, over time, if that doesn't, get resolved, those back taxes aren't paid, then you get the property.
Yeah, you do forced foreclosure.
Yeah.
So you buy the tax lien, like you said.
Yeah,
You buy the tax lien, now the people owe you, you
yeah,
get 18%, they don't pay you, then you personally are part of
You can go
the town
foreclose.
will
yeah, they're out.
But these donated properties where they're getting the taxes waived,
Yeah.
for what it's worth, they're gonna, they might end up actually owing income tax.
They're absolved,
Yeah, but I think,
at least from the town, right?
yeah, but that's, I mean, if
What it
your
counts.
bank writes off your loan, that's income for you. If the town writes off your taxes, that's, it's like earning the money.
Yeah.
I wonder if that,
I'm
how does that?
I'm sure they all,
Yeah.
I'm sure they all can work.
Right?
If you don't tell them those things, I'm sure they'll forget.
So maybe that's what he means by open up the estate, because
No, to open up the estate, it's owned by the legal estate, and so, it's not owned by the heirs. It has to be then transferred out of, the person, the deceased person's estate. Usually, you get everything out before you close the estate.
yeah, none of the heirs knew that.
Yeah, they didn't really own it.
There's a business there.
Yeah, sounds like a
Clean that
nice.
all up.
You didn't always hear about the person who didn't know they owned this ranch and,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's weird.
I'm still waiting for my phone call.
I've gone on to like sites, you can look up it, and I always find some family member has some money, like,
Oh, I remember.
Yeah.
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 $500.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, put in my
But
name,
the
it's
state
just,
takes that, if you don't claim it.
Yeah, I think you have like 10 years.
So, okay, so I will pursue that tax lien list, an update.
I'll take that one, yeah.
Do you have that on a digital copy?
No, I don't think first paper, yes. I could look though.
I can talk to Mike, too.
Yeah.
Mike still likes to get plugged in the wall.
Okay.
And get him some.
I was at his farm last week. Give me a tour. Tell you about that wetland in the back.
Yeah.
Great spot.
And the other thing that is on my list is just this spreadsheet that I sent out earlier, the repetitive one about 2018, that provided an inventory where Mike, took it upon himself to calculate, I don't know if you saw the email, but basically he calculated all the quote-unquote open spaces in Fairfield, to see how much we actually have. And have we already achieved our mission of 70 acres per 1,000 residents? And he basically calculated that if you include beaches, golf courses, ballparks, and the open space we have, and I forgot what else, I think that's about it, that we're at like 4,200 acres, which was if we had 60,000 residents. So, not that we should stop looking, but.
Oh, okay, well, the town's adding more people.
Yeah, I don't know what
We're
that
going vertical.
What is it?
Next, if we're going vertical now.
Yeah, right.
Just sign this petition.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and I don't have anything to add at that, it's just more of an informative spreadsheet. Worth looking at to get perspective, because we're never going to really answer what is unless we want to address the charter, what does the town consider open space,
Right.
The only thing I wanted to kind of add about that is that from my point of view, because I live in a very crowded side of town, the equity of that, right? Like finally we accomplished our goal, but is it spread across equally in Fairfield? Like I think we could work on that.
Where do you live?
Like near Black Rock Turnpike, Dead Street. So I just feel like our side of town always gets forgotten on that, and the developers are always in there trying to build apartments and all these really dense housing, and that's where the flooding happens, and so we should be looking at making sure we preserve whatever's left preserving to the High Street point.
Right.
No, they're not making it on the
I know.
agenda for July.
Delay is always good. Okay, well, it's just a thought.
Flood control right here, big one.
Yeah, exactly.
Do we want to, think about our next meeting, when to have it?
Yeah, so we typically meet on Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
It's not already in the calendar, right? Let me check. Tim, did you want to add new properties to talk about?
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, let's do that while we look at it.
These are also on that list. I dug into, I didn't want to try and take on too many at once. The Post Road parcel being my number one prize target. But 80 Hoytons Lane and 50 Concord Street.
Where's that?
Hoytons Lane is actually up by Smithridge.
Yeah.
In our existing open space at Hoytons. This is a 1.01 acre parcel.
Do you have the number?
80.
I couldn't find that.
It's adjacent to, it's just to the right, if you look at the aerial, we have the 4 fields in that quadrant.
Okay.
Look to the east of that, the parcel is wooded, all wetland, like 95% wetland.
Does it have road frontage?
No,
Okay, that's why.
it's locked, yeah.
Okay.
This was, again, on the list.
It's on the tax.
I haven't pursued it yet. I wanted to bring it up tonight before I go to the collector. But this was on the list, and I think it was discussed in 18 or maybe prior. But I think it would be a good parcel because it meets all the requirements, wetlands adjacent to our existing open space. 1.01 acres is the second biggest on this list as far as space. It's undevelopable, and I don't see any value for the owner. Its owned, listed owner is BC and Sons Electrical. Don't know anything about. Recommendation was acquire back then on this list. The details, comments on this is adjacent to other town open space and no frontage, which is basically what I said. If everyone thinks that's a good idea, I'll start the process with the collector and find out what the deal is.
I know it's vacant land, but do we ever scan the property with like a metal detector just to make sure we're not inheriting any problems?
I personally haven't been on the environmental
Just make sure
side.
they're not buried.
Oh, yeah, I don't know, it's good.
Yeah.
Or you could do due diligence, you know?
Yeah, I just wonder if we do it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
I'm thinking. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's where my head was. There's a big pit and they've been throwing all this stuff in there and covering it up.
According to Ed Jones, the open space manager, this was part of a parcel that was broken off from the major parcel that was donated to us that became our open space, the Williams space. I've done some due diligence I did it on Gray Street, did it on 150 Villa, order to phase one. But I always look at the aerials to see, going back to the 30s,
Yeah.
what it was then.
No, I just have friends in the beach area and they go to dig footings for a garage and then they're finding tires and sinks and, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
Contractors in the ocean are notorious for this.
yeah, just to protect ourselves.
The other 150 Concord is in the beach area. It actually abuts to, if you drive into the marina, when you make a left at the guardhouse, this parcel kind of abuts that area. It's 0.17 acres, adjacent to our open space. All tidal wetlands. And the recommendation was acquired for open space. Owner is James Kunko. I can't remember when I looked at the map yesterday if he owned the adjacent parcels as well, but it's all underwater, under tidal estuary.
So this is the wetland behind the houses? Or between the houses and the water?
I can't remember. As you drive into the parking lot and go to the open space parking lot is on the west side.
So if you go down Concord Street, it's like 3 houses long, it's like right past the 3 houses.
I'll look it up. I can tell you which one it is. That came with the Stratford as well. Yeah, correct. So that is, it is all the title marks. There's no, it would be between that last house and the water course.
The boat storage.
Yeah, it didn't go all the way. The property line was the water course on the right. 0.17 is pretty small. It's almost like that mosquito ditch to the end of the road and then to the stream.
What do you want to do with it?
I don't know anything about it. I have a note here and handwritten probably from a discussion that says willing. So, if that's the case, I don't know where the taxes stand on that either, but I would suggest that I reach out to the collector to find out where both of these parcels are.
I make a motion, that you reach out, find out about the
Okay.
Okay?
Aye. Can we even do that though? It's not an official meeting, I'm not at work. I forgot. We just-
Yeah.
We just can't do our minutes. So why don't we should do the minutes,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, it was able to do those before I came, no, she doesn't know.
Great.
Does anybody have any changes? Okay. Everyone, how do you say it?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from May.
Okay.
Second. All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. Unanimous.
Perfect.
Got the minutes approved. Yeah, I think that makes sense. It's the contiguous, Common Street contiguous,
Yeah.
it's a cool spot. Check the box. Check the box, okay, but,
Especially it's, relatively free,
right.
the willing donation.
Oh, good.
And just getting our name on parcels like that, again, could never be developed, but we still control them. And similar parcel on Pine Creek Avenue, what do you think? I'm mixing it up. I think it is. There's a parcel that been asked if the town would sell for parking, almost a similar situation as I had earlier. But we own multiple adjacent parcels in the marsh, and I discussed it with TPZ director, and, if there was any advantage to selling them off, but my thought was, if we were to acquire a parcel adjacent to the north, that would, at any time in the future, that's also all title marsh. We would have access from two different streets, but having sold the small one, we don't have access to one, so. I think just getting parcels that we can that have an advantage and, benefit are just win-win. And I always tell the tax collector, if we haven't gotten paid in 15, 20, 30 years, we're not getting paid in 100 years, so why count it? Especially if you don't know.
Yeah.
Something with that value.
Okay, on the calendar, we have our next meeting October 19th.
Do we want to do it then, or do we want to try for September?
Think about the time of year and how busy we are. September is better or October?
September is tough. Tougher, the end of September is tough. So we would be, what is it, the first Wednesday of the month?
No, the October is the 3rd, yeah.
Third Wednesday. I'm fine, whatever.
I'm always in favor.
October 19th works.
October 19th?
Yep. Works.
Okay, shall I make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.